Moldova is not known to have used or produced cluster munitions, but after the collapse of the Soviet Union, the country inherited a stockpile of cluster munitions, including air bombs, artillery shells, and ammunition for multi-launch rocket systems, some of them dating from 1964. The cluster munitions did not become an issue in Moldova until relatively recently, when the Moldovan government decided to upgrade its storage facilities and dispose of unwanted and outdated ammunition. Such actions recognized that retaining such stocks of ammunition increased the dangers of proliferation or theft, and that destroying them would increase the safety at the storage sites and reduce the risks to civilians. Moldova took the decision to include all cluster munitions in this destruction process, and though they had the capacity to dispose of the artillery and MLRS rounds, because of their complexity, Moldova requested OSCE assistance to deal with the cluster bombs. The destruction of all cluster munitions meets Moldova's commitment to the Oslo process under the Convention on Cluster Munitions.
This is really related to a wider program of disposal of all munitions of this type in Moldova. Moldova has no need for them, it doesn't want them, but they need to be safely disposed of, and that needed technical assistance and outside help, and that's why they approached the OSCE.
At the initiative of the Moldovan Ministry of Defence and subsequent requests via the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, an assessment team from the Norwegian Peoples Aid visited Moldova in 2009 in order to identify the types of cluster bombs in storage, the condition of the weapons, and consider options for their disposal. As a result, a project was implemented, which provided training for Moldovan specialists and led to the destruction of those bombs. The project was developed by the OSCE in cooperation with the Ministry of Defence and implemented by Norwegian Peoples Aid with funding from Spain and Norway.
This is the very first project that is happening at this scale globally. So Moldova led the way in making this treaty, this very important treaty, as humanitarian impact to be a reality.
Moldova inherited an old ammunition storage system and lacks the resources to upgrade it. The OSCE is working with the Ministry of Defence to develop a project to upgrade the buildings to ensure that they are weatherproof and have improved electrical and safety features. During the project for the disposal of cluster bombs, the OSCE also funded the repair of a building at Bulboca Training Center to be used as an ammunition processing building. It was here that the bombs were disassembled. The Russian cluster bombs in Moldova and Moldovan stockpiles are of a relatively simple design and can be safely disassembled by trained staff using the right equipment. Norwegian Peoples Aid provided advice on the procurement of the specialist equipment and trained 10 Moldovan Army specialists to carry out the assembly work safely. Following this training and the experience gained during the project, the Moldovan specialists showed that they could complete the work of disposing the cluster bombs themselves. Ammunition destruction took place at the military training base at Bulboca, where there is a suitable demolition site. The process of destruction used at the site is safe, both for the environment and for the personnel involved in ammunition disposal. The project resulted in the destruction of all 78 Soviet-manufactured cluster bombs held by the Moldovan National Army. This project is led by the Ministry of Defence, but with funding from OSCE and experts from the Norwegian Peoples Aid, whom you have seen here in green, yellow, and red shirts, are the National Army troops on contract, sergeants, soldiers, who have been specially trained in the National Army. Also, they pass courses abroad, and they are prepared for the destruction of ammunition fragmentation. After training Moldavian soldiers and managing all conditions for disassembling cluster bombs, the crew passed to the properly processed action. The project involves two stages, one for dismantling the aviation fragmentation bombs and the other for destruction by explosion of the disassembled bombs. The first stage was completed in the building, which was renovated as part of the project. Considering the fact that the old building could not meet the necessary security levels or provide the conditions which the specialists needed to dispose of the bombs, it was necessary to upgrade it and equip it in accordance with the recommendations of the outside experts. The Moldovan Army engineers were then able to get on with their work. To define the safety areas in the ammunition processing building, we decided to establish green, yellow, and red zones, because these colors are widely used for dangerous areas. The green team was trained to safely load and unload the bombs from special vehicles and move them into the building, where they were handed over to the yellow team, which extracted the submunitions from the bombs. Extraction work is very difficult because during the process various problems can occur with the tools and components. All the procedures for using the tools must be clearly understood, and there must be a maximum effort from all members of the team. They must work carefully and be confident that they will move forward only when they are sure that all steps have been properly carried out. The submunitions are extracted from the bombs and placed in special boxes. The boxes are clearly labeled, showing how many bomblets they contain, and are then moved to the red area. The red team then takes the submunitions and breaks them down for further destruction. But it's not enough to ensure the process of dismantling and destroying them without full documentation at each stage. Therefore, for each area and each level, a series of documents has been produced, which ensure that all the teams deal with the bombs and the submunitions in a very safe manner. After processing by the red team, the submunitions are moved to demolition site, where they are handed over to the officer in charge. Attention! Fire in the hole! After each explosion, we check the results. We will see that they don't represent any threat as a result of the explosion, and that the submunitions are destroyed into small metal fragments. The Republic of Moldova is one of 94 countries that signed the Convention on Cluster Munitions, and is the first to meet its commitments under the Convention.
We need people to understand that the permanent maintenance of munitions, especially munitions that will never be used and that do not have a military mission, this maintenance is inherently dangerous to civilian populations, and that what can be destroyed should be destroyed.
During 3 months at the Bławka range, all the objectives of the project were successfully completed and all submunitions destroyed. By destroying its entire stocks of cluster munitions, Moldova has met its commitments and strengthened regional security.
We have enjoyed the professional skills and the expertise of the Moldovan Army, and they have served the technical advisors and experts that we have provided to the project in a very professional manner. So we are very happy with this.
Now Moldova has experienced and trained specialists in cluster bomb disposal and can assist other countries to get rid of unwanted munitions. This project will motivate other countries within the Oslo process to destroy cluster bombs.